Hi, everybody. We are here today to talk about grief and death and how it is stigmatized in the United States. So that is not so depressing for all of us. We are going to do it over this bottle of wine. It is called Copper and Thief. It's a red wine blend, aged 3 months in bourbon whiskey barrels, 16% alcohol by volume. Does anyone know like how much is the appropriate amount to pour? I think that might be more. I am Tracy Wallace. I work over here at Eterneva, and I am by no means a sommelier. I'm pretty novice at wine. I'm a member at a Texas wine club out in the Austin Hill country, which my friends who go to Sonoma a lot tell me is really bad. So. It's good. We are going to be releasing videos like this, aka I'm gonna be drinking wine like this and talking about grief in general every single week. So if you like to talk about grief and death in any way, shape, or form, and also like to watch somebody who knows nothing about wine talk about wine, then click that subscribe button so that you get a notification every time we put a new video out. The problem with grief in America is that we don't talk about it. It is that the vast majority of us, actually for anybody watching right now, like do a very quick exercise with yourself momentarily, which is maybe just close your eyes and think back to your very first memory of grief. What was that like? What did your parents or family do? What were your friends doing? How did that experience leave a mark on you? And if you live in the United States, I'd venture to guess that after the funeral, folks stopped talking about it. And that's an issue. In a very weird way, so I come from small town East Texas, and my junior and senior year of high school, and then freshman and sophomore year, I almost forgot what order everything went in, freshman and sophomore year of college, I had a bunch of friends pass away. I think I ended up in those 4 years going to probably 12 or more funerals. Like it was a lot in a small time frame. My mom even recently has said over wine, told me that she tells people often that her kids experienced a lot of death of friends in their lives, and that she's very sorry for us that was something we had to experience at such a young age. First of all, after kind of the first 2 years, I think anytime I got a call from friends from my hometown, I just expected it to be a call saying somebody was in the hospital or somebody had died. So you kind of come to expect it in a weird way. But I also just became very numb and desensitized to it. I remember a bunch of friends. I was in a sorority and I lived in the house, and I came down one day and there were a bunch of girls in the kitchen, very upset, very clearly upset and crying. Somebody they were friends with had passed away very suddenly, and they were all very upset. Clearly, duh, you're supposed to be. And I remember them saying that to me, and me just honestly being really rude about it. I was just like, yeah, it's what happens. And like grabbing my stuff and walking out to like their jaws just like dropped to the ground. And it's something I remember very well and think about a lot, because I certainly wasn't in a good mental health place with grief at that point in time. And I think a lot of it was just the fact that I had experienced so much loss and that we weren't talking about it. My friends back home weren't talking about it. Sure, we did things to kind of remember people, but not really. I mean, their names might still come up every so often, but not really. And that's an issue. And what we actually know, there's a bunch of research out in other countries. Australia's, really leading the way here, which is cool. But we know that talking about who your loved one was, telling stories about them, even doing legacy projects, things like planting sunflowers because it was their favorite flower, can be really, really helpful. So the problem, I guess, to restate it, is that we ignore it. We try to pretend like there's not a problem. The notes I taste, it's probably like grapes, bourbon, tannins. I think you guys might have chosen the worst person in the office to talk about notes and wine. Yeah, I do like it. If I didn't like it, it'd be very upsetting. Kind of like the stigma around death and grief in the United States, that upsetting. If you're someone who has experienced a loss in your life or is close to people who have experienced significant or important losses in their life, very much knows and understands that this shit sucks. really badly. And the loss itself sucks, but then so does the isolation. So does the feeling like you can't talk about it, the feelings that, you know, no one understands, that there's no place to go. There's not even a lot of great research around it. We know the like stages of grief aren't real. Grief is cyclical. It comes in tides and waves, and it's important to break it so that break the stigma that exists around it, so that people don't feel crazy. Like, you're not crazy for grieving. You're freaking normal. You're supposed to grieve. All of us are gonna grieve. All of that is why we need to do everything we can to destigmatize grief so that people don't feel alone, so that people don't, as a result of them feeling alone, make other people feel alone, so that people don't go into, you know, depressive cycles or pick up habits that, you know, ultimately really derail their lives. Grief itself is a change. You have lost somebody incredibly important to you, and that matters. Your life is going to be different as a result of that event happening. We shouldn't pretend that that's not the case. It's okay to be sad about that, but there's also really beautiful things that can come after that. Grief, I don't think is an emotion, and I don't know, like psychology and dictionaries might like disagree with that, but one of the emotions associated with grief is sadness, and certainly there's that. But there can also be joy, there can also be nostalgia, which probably isn't an emotion by any of those standards either. But there's a lot of other things that happen within grief other than sadness, and I think we can both hold space for the sadness as well as hold space and celebrate those moments of joy when they happen. Other notes I taste. I don't know, almonds? No, maybe more walnut. I'm gonna stick with walnut. Vanilla. There's vanilla in it. Maybe that is what I thought was walnut. There's a sticker in the front. Oh my gosh, I thought that was just part of the like bottle. It's toasty vanilla. See, I told you there were nuts in it. Walnuts are toasted sometimes. Awesome, thanks for watching me be really bad at figuring out what is in wine. There will be more of that. And you know, maybe getting a little bit vulnerable and just talking about something that a lot of us don't want to talk about. I will say wine can help. Maybe like go get wine with friends or family or somebody. If you don't like wine, beer, or if you aren't drinking, which is so freaking cool, you can get virgin drinks and pretend and talk with people about uncomfortable things. So thank you for staying, and come and check out the other videos. We are not stopping. We're gonna keep talking about it. Aren't you over the death of that loved one by now? And you say, yeah, of course I am, because that's so easy. It happened like, you know, a year ago. I'm done, over it, not important anymore. Here's some wine.